Yes, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. Yes. It is technically Thursday that I am recording this, but however, this is still Self-Care Wednesdays. Yes, Self-Care Wednesdays. Wasn't able to record on the day that it was supposed to be, uploaded because a sister, was still enjoying my solo return. Yes, I was still enjoying my birthday. Yes, still enjoying my birthday. My birthday is March the 3rd. Yes, and, just still coming down, from that, from all of that love that all of you, you all have been giving me, and I have appreciated. I can honestly say that, I have been through a lot in my life, and and in this episode, I will share some of the things that I have been through in my life, and it took a long time for me to get to where I am at right now. I don't know if you all are following me on social media, but however, please follow me on all of my social media, at Gina Lock Soul, at CreativeLipsPodcast, both of them. That's Instagram, and also on Twitter at Gina Lock Soul, and for Creative Lips Podcast on Twitter, it's at Creative Lips Pod. Yes, so follow a sister and support me, because I also post stuff there too as well. And welcome all the new listeners, and all of the active listeners. You are listening to the Creative Lips Podcast. Yes, and I am your host, Regina. Yes, and just like I said, this is Self-Care Wednesdays. This is a special one that I am doing today, and I wanted to get into some of the 4 steps that I have been doing, from my experience in my life, of some of the things that I have been, doing just to stay motivated. Now, I always do this before I get into any of, my Self-Care Wednesday steps or tips or anything. I always do this disclaimer. I am in no way, no shape, no form a licensed psychologist or a therapist. No. So this is strictly from my own opinion and from my experience. Yes. This is, strictly for entertainment purposes only. And, also for, good information, to be informative. And you never know, you might get something from out of this, and it might help you. And if it does help you, I welcome the feedback as well from all of you who are, active listeners and new listeners listening to my podcast, any of my episodes. I look forward to hearing from all of you. And if you are also interested, you can also send me an email at creativelipspodcast@gmail.com in regards to any of my episodes. Yes. So now let's get straight into it. Now today, just like I said, how can we get to the part in our life where we can just stay motivated? How can we get to that part in our life where we can just stay motivated for good? I remember when I was young, and I was not inspired. But, yet and still, I wanted to do everything under the damn sun. Everything under the sun, yes. My mind was all over the damn place. And also being a young teenage mother, I had so many aspirations and dreams and goals and, stuff that I wanted to manifest in real time. Yes, in real time, like today. Like, I wanted to just do everything, go here, do this, create stuff. I was always a creative ever since I was young, always from the womb. I, was a creative and, and of course still is, but it was my current situation at the time that prevented me to not follow my dreams to the fullest. So, I'm going to share, I don't know if you all have been listening to my episodes. I stated before that, I wanted to share certain things from my personal life, I guess to where and how I got to where I am today and obstacles that I went through and I overcame. So let's get into it right now. So you see, now a long time ago, when I was 26 years of age, I was homeless. Yes, I was homeless. I was living in a shelter. And all of this happened, all of a sudden, like a whirlwind around that year. It's just, unfortunate that it happened, but yet and still, I had dreams. I had these dreams of what, I wanted to do in my life and what I'm doing today, like right now. I always had the dreams about being and doing and, and it took me a while. It took me a while to get to it. I had to go through so many hurdles to get to it. I had to train my mind and my heart. I had to train myself to get to it. And honestly, I can say, y'all, I can say that it was not easy. It was not easy, to get here, as to what y'all see today. But now that I am here, the motivation is like bananas. It's like through the roof right now. My motivation is like to the 10th, to the 10th plus more. Just like I said, there are levels to this shit. There's levels to this shit. To be out there and stay motivated, y'all. Okay, levels to this shit. So out of all the steps I took to get where I'm at today, I am going to begin to share. All right, I'm going to begin to share my 4 steps. My 4 major steps. Now, I still live by these steps. Still to this day, we're in the decade 2020. I still live by these steps. I'm going to share 4 major steps to stay motivated and push through for good. All right. So now let's get into the first step, y'all. The first step, all right, is to build up around your passion. Build up, create those levels to your shit. When you do something you truly love, it's not hard to find the motivation needed to succeed in it, right? If you are doing the same thing that bores you, you go to work and then you come home, you go to work and then you come home, or whatever you do each and every day, it will be hard to really dig deep down and find that motivation when you need it, right? Because you aren't truly passionate about what you are doing. Because you're doing the same thing day in, day out, day in and day out. See, I started taking strides, just like I said previous, to get to where I am at now, y'all. I had to build it up. All of the things that I am doing right now took some time and effort. Now, it's going to take some time and effort for you. Some things and certain people, they can just bounce right into it and stay motivated. But for the ones, I'm speaking to the ones that it's going to take some time and effort to get to it. Now, see, it's good to build that foundation around what you love to do. Right? Now, when I say build that foundation, you have to incorporate it in your daily life. Like, for instance, if you wake up, you go to work, right? Because you have to go to work, to pay your bills, to do what you have to do in your life. And you do that. You come home from work and then you take care of your family if you have a family. Or, if you don't have a family, you come home and you take care of yourself. You wash clothes, you clean up, or, you do your daily routine. Incorporate what you love to do in it every single day, like it's clockwork. If you do that and turn that into your passion and turn that into your daily routine, then it's going to always be something that you're always going to be looking forward to doing because it's your passion. You love doing it. So it's going to be easy for you to do it. And if you keep on doing it, it's going to turn into eventually what you're going to be doing in your life for good. So if you keep on following your passion and build on it, add it into your daily routine, then you will never experience a lack of motivation. Trust me, you won't. Because you're doing, just like I said, what you love to do anyway. Right? So if you just incorporate it, try it for a week. Try it for a week, what you love to do. It's like, let me give you an example. Okay. Say like you want to be a podcaster. Then you don't have to have all the fancy equipment to do it. Although it would be great because the sound quality. But say like you want to do it. And, even if you don't have the equipment, you can use a recording device, or you can just practice doing it out loud, writing down whatever your niche is, your niche, I always say that, is. And practice it each and every day. Practice it each and every day. And you will get better at it. And if you stick with that by the end of the week, then you mastered it. You mastered your motivation and you don't even know it because you want to know why. It's because that's what you love to do. You love doing that, right? Whatever it may be, it doesn't have to be that, but whatever you love to do, it could be singing, it could be sewing, it could be cooking, it could be anything. If you practice doing that every day and doing it, It's fun to do it because that's what you love to do. Whatever you love to do, just do it on a daily basis. Then you have mastered that motivation and you're building around what you love to do. Right? So that's number 1. Now let's get into number 2. Now this one is I really wholeheartedly, I had to stand by this. Be extremely optimistic. All right. Now, when I say extremely optimistic, when you are constantly being optimistic, you focus on just the positive, right? You just focus on all of the things that is good in what you're trying to get motivated for. You have to focus on those things. Now, when you do that, it helps you stay motivated. You have to take that to the extreme. It has to be something to where it's like a given. You have to stay focused on it because it helps you focus on reaching that end goal. The minute you start to bring a negative shift of thoughts into your mind is the moment your forward momentum will come to a stop. It'll just come to a screeching halt. If you put those negative thoughts in your mind when you're being optimistic and seeing the whole big picture, you're sitting there, you're thinking like, dang, I can't wait till I get home. I'm going to practice on this monologue, or I'm going to practice my dance moves, or I'm going to practice singing. I'm going to practice whatever you love to do. You're thinking about that in an optimistic momentum. But then you take it and then you say, I'm not going to do this when I get home. I'm going to do it tomorrow. I'm going to do it next week. I'm going to do it 5 days later. I'm going to do it when I do it. You're taking away from that momentum. Check this out. Does the possibility of failure exist? Of course it does. But once again, you can't think like it doesn't. You can't think like you can't do anything in your life at all. You cannot think like that, y'all. Having that optimism dominated by your thoughts, blocking out all the negative thoughts, sets off a whirlwind of feel-good emotions, and it provides constant daily motivation. It keeps you motivated when you think about what you love to do on a constant basis, y'all. So we have to take that to the extreme. Our optimism. We have to be, motivated to stay in that rhythm, that momentum. So that's going to keep us and push us through to stay motivated for good. We do that. All right. So now number 3, commit to the end goal. Now I talked about that just a little bit. Success often comes to those who take big risk. Now, let me tell y'all something. Now, doing all this shit that I'm doing right now, I'm taking a risk. This is like out of my comfort zone. People think, oh, well, you can do that. But, this is really out of my comfort zone to record. And, you all hear my voice. And and I'm saying how I'm feeling and, expressing, whatever topic I'm talking to you all about, whether it be about the latest news and trends, that went viral, or music, or down to self-care Wednesdays. I'm taking a major risk. This is a big risk. I'm out of my comfort zone. I'm doing something that I never did before in my life. I'm stepping out of the daily routine of going to work and coming home, and doing nothing and watching TV and, or not watching TV, or whatever. I'm stepping out of my comfort zone. Now, when you take those big risks, they can result in sometimes, in certain situation, epic failures, right? So we have to take those L's, but in majority of it, L's are not for, losses. L's are really for a learning opportunity. Because think about it. If we never take those big risks, if we never ever say that we did it, think about it. If I never ever did this podcast, I remember I was brainstorming about this for a couple of months last year. And I thought about it. I said, maybe I can do it. And then I thought about it. Those negative thoughts came in and said, nah, nobody's not going to listen to me. Nobody's not going to want to hear what I have to say, the shit I got to say. I'm saying? So many podcasters out there, because it was a whirlwind of YouTube or whirlwind of podcasts. Everybody wanted to do the same damn thing. And then I thought about it. I said, if I never would have done this, I wouldn't have never been learning and growing and preparing and being the best version of myself as to what you see today, right now. Now, there are very few one-hit wonders. Now one-hit wonders is not just for music. One-hit wonders can be anything that you do in your life that you are displaying to, being innovative and, displaying to the public and showing people. As most successful entrepreneurs, y'all, have experienced failure at one point. Even if, you have remember failing in the past, which causes you to say, even if you have tried, what motivated you, or whatever you love to do. Even if you have tried in the past at one point, you say, I did try it and it didn't work out for me. Then so what? At least you did it, right? You have to commit to it. If you committed to it, you wouldn't have never known if you would have passed or if you would have failed, if you committed to it. So this is what we can do. Commit to the end goal and don't think about those past failures or the possibility of failing again. It could happen. Yes, it could happen again. Say just like I said, you already done it. You've been down that road again. You don't want to go through that road again. Yes, it can happen again. But you could also be the next success story if you try again. Try, and try again. Just try it. Try it again. If that's something that you love to do and you just can't get it out your bones, you just can't get away from it, you just want to just say, what, I know it didn't work this time, but however, I want to at least try it again. You never know. This circles back to the point above. You must remain extremely optimistic at all times, right? Remember I said that. And if you do not get knocked down, you have to bounce right back up. 100% focus on your end goal. Okay? So you have to be extremely optimistic, right? And you have to commit to it. Even if you keep on getting knocked down. You know, how many of y'all's success stories, you know, that y'all have heard is these, you know, public figures to say they've been knocked down, doors closed, you know, people said no. But look, you know, it wasn't until somebody said, hey, I want to put you on. Yo, I love what you got going on. You know, or I love your content. I want to subscribe to you. Or, you know, I love your music. I just can't stop listening to it. Or, yo, that food was, oh my God, it just melted in my mouth, girl. You know what I'm saying? How many success stories have you heard like that from people who have been through those hurdles and all of those situations and all of those, you know, setbacks? You know, because they stay committed to it. They bounce right back from it because those situations passed. Just like, let me double back, you know, as to, you know, what I told you all about. You know, I was homeless and living in a shelter. And, you know, with my children, you know, because of this whirlwind of situations that has happened, you know, during those years that, you know, caused me to be, you know, homeless. But however, you know, I bounced back from it, you know, and my children are older now because, you know, it happened when my children were young, you know, and now I bounced back from it. I succeeded from it. I didn't stay there. You know, I overcame it, you know, with the help of, you know, certain people had helped me. And, yo, I gave them all their flowers because, you know, all those people who have helped me, you know, they're still here. And I'm grateful for all of the love and support that, you know, people who have helped me throughout the years to get to where I am at today. Because I stayed committed. I stayed committed to my dreams and goals and aspirations and things that I wanted to overcome. And I overcame them. I was committed to my end goal. I was committed to getting out of that situation and any situation. And I am a success story. A big one. And you can do it too. You know, you don't have to go through, you know, such traumatic hardships that I have been through, but it could be any type of hardships that you may have faced, but you can be a success story. You can come out of it and you can stay committed to the end goal, to stay motivated and overcome. All right. So last but not least, surround yourself with like-minded people. All right, I'm going to say this again. Surround yourself with like-minded people, y'all. Yes, I can never, ever stress that enough. Now, it was said by Michael Dell. I don't know if y'all know who Michael Dell is. Michael Dell is the founder of Dell Computers. All right. So he had went on to say at a commencement speech a while back is that the company you surround yourself with has a direct influence on how you behave, both in your personal life and in your workplace, where, you know, wherever you work at. You know, so with that being said, when we are aware of having a strong, like-minded, community-based, a friendship-based, a family-based, or whatever it is, it can be beneficial to us when we are aware. Okay? Now, when we're not aware of it, it can be very detrimental to our motivation. Now, it can help you be motivated when you get involved with like-minded people, right? So why not surround yourself with different groups of people who share the same interests, or even if it's not the same interests, they still have a frame of mind of wanting to succeed and wanting to have success in their life and wanting to, be goal oriented and do things that motivates them on a daily basis, no matter what it is. Those close to you who share the same frame of mind. The reason why it's good, because they can offer assistance, guidance, and advice, especially if they've been there and done that. Being able to reach out to your community of like-minded people, you can get a different perspective on different things. I can share something a little bit. When I was trying to start everything, like with my music and, with my podcasting and even stuff that I did years ago, like I had a hair business and everything. I had different people, reach out to me and give me different advice. And the advice was very helpful and informative. They gave me so much perspective on, different challenges that I might face, whether it be an issue, doing it, starting it. It was very valuable, because at times when I was in the middle of something, when I tried to, start all of this stuff, even now, still today, when I was in the middle of, doing, recording or, trying to understand how to set up different things, it was a little bit challenging for me at first. It was. I can honestly say, like, starting this podcast, it was a little bit challenging, just a little bit of challenging. But when you have that community, when you have those like-minded people around you, you can see the different alternatives and options, because you get that support unconditionally. Sometimes in life, we make decisions which others may not agree with, right? Not because they don't want us to succeed, but because they don't want us to get disappointed or hurt. This can be demotivating. It could, help you. I wouldn't say help you. Well, yeah, it can help. It can add to, all of the things that you have been building up and, trying to get to that goal and, trying to get through those challenges. It could just be very disheartening, especially if those people are your loved ones. So that's why when we have a like-minded community, we know that they will support us no matter what. So that's why it's good to have people who have the same frame of mind as you. But I also want to add this too. But we also have to be cautious, about those like-minded people too, because now this is the other side of it, because sometimes those like-minded people will see us succeed, but then once we get up there, they'll try to tear us down. But that's another story that's another Self-Care Wednesday, because I really want to talk about that too as well. But however, having the support with no form of judgment, having anybody judging you is very motivating when you have that like-minded community base. And the reason why too is because they can hold us accountable. Yes, they can hold us accountable. As I was saying earlier, when we have those negative thoughts, say you just got off of work. And then, you used to your daily routine, get off of work, you go home, and then you don't do shit. Right? We can have that friend or family member, whoever, that loved one or that friend or whatever, hold us accountable. They can give us a call and say, hey, man, or hey, homie, or whatever, and say, did you open up that textbook and learn how to put together that computer? Or did you do what you was supposed to be doing to get to your goal today? Or what did you do today to start your goal? They can hold us accountable for staying motivated. Nothing moves us into action than having some form of accountability or a consequence too. Because if we have that like-minded community, they can also tell us the consequences if we don't do it. They can say, well, you said you wanted to be a superstar, or you said you wanted to be whatever you want to be motivated for. And if you don't do it, then when are you going to do it? It's never going to happen. If you don't do it today, you never know what can happen tomorrow. Because tomorrow isn't promised to none of us. So why not fulfill what you love to do right now? Why not do the things that makes you happy right now? We all have supportive people who will listen to our excuses. And, we all have them. We all have people that you can just call up and just say, hey, yo, man, I was, trying to get to the gym. I was trying to record this, this song, or I was trying to. But, if you have those like-minded people around you and surround yourself with those people, they ain't gonna buy into that shit. They ain't gonna buy into it. Because they will give you the push you need to keep moving forward. Right? And once you surround yourself with those like-minded people, I'm telling you, it's going to take you to a whole new level. All right? So make sure you surround yourself with people that's going to elevate you to the next level. That's going to get through all that shit so that you can get to the next level in your life and stay motivated for good and push through. All right? So now getting into the number one tip. The number one tip that I got from everything is to shut down the escape routes temporarily. Now, when I say shut down the escape routes, is like IG, social media, or anything that may get caught, that you may get caught up. Like 5 to 20 minutes, you be on that phone, and before you know it, it's the end of the night and you falling asleep. And you haven't done, your goals to keep you motivated. It is very beneficial so that you remove those things that you usually use to procrastinate on a daily basis. Now, if you push yourself to set these goals, now all of these goals, all of these tips that I stated today, just like I always say, you don't have to do all of them, maybe 1 or 2, but at least do it for 5 days. Now, if you push yourself to set these goals, and if you don't follow through with them, now this is the consequence. How can you be motivated if you don't know where you're headed? If you don't try. So just try, guys. Try today. Try today to get into that motivated frame of mind today, right now. Do it right now. Yes, I'm talking to you. Do it right now. It may be little steps. It may be spurts. Do it right now. Slow and steady wins the race. Yes, it does. All right, now, so if you like this commentary, yes, y'all, if you like this commentary on this podcast, by all means, follow a sister. Follow a sister on, follow me on all of my social media at Instagram at Creative Lips Podcast on Instagram, and also on Twitter. Yes, follow me on Twitter at Creative Lips Pod, because I, just like I said, I post stuff there too. And support a sister. If you like this commentary, support me by leaving that 5-star rating. Yes, support me by leaving that 5-star rating, and also leave a review. Leave a review for a sister. Yes, and if you are interested in sponsoring your product, or sponsoring whatever service you might have, or anything, if you want to, by all means, send me an email at CreativeLipsPodcast@gmail.com. Yes, and I'll be sure to respond if I'm interested in what you got to present and want to display on my Creative Lips podcast. All right, y'all. I love y'all. And be well. Stay motivated. You can do it. All right. Until next time. You are now listening to episode 18 of the Creative Lips